Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called Forest Clearing. It's based on a photo I have of Fontainebleau Forest, and it's a very different sort of scene for me. It had a lot of things about it that I would normally, I don't want to say avoid, but um, at the end of the day, I thought, oh, why not just go for it? And quite a few gaps in this. I mean, from the time I did this drawing stage you're seeing now. By the way, that looks to me like I'm painting my underpainting with burnt umber. And burnt umber on the, we're painting on top of hardboard. And it has two coats of transparent acrylic gesso on it. Um, and generally, if you're going to do that board prep with the gesso, you don't need to wait too long in between your coats. But I do recommend waiting at least a day before going in and doing your oil painting over the top. And the reason, of course, for that gesso coat is just to have a bit of a buffer between the wood and the oil paint. Because what happens over time is that the wood will absorb the oils from the paint. And it's just not going to give you a long-term sound sort of painting surface. Anyway, that's what I've heard. I haven't seen any. Well, I don't know if I have probably done one or two paintings in the early days on just raw wood, and I have to say it's very pleasant, you know. But the transparent gesso is as well. You can sand it down. That's one reason I like to do two coats. I do one coat down, and then I sand, and then I do a second coat. So here we're doing the underpainting with the burnt umber, and it looks nice. It looks interesting. One of the things so this painting actually the actual live version, which you can find in the members area, and there's a link to the members area down below this video. It's $5, no, $6 a month to join, and you can hang out for a month and then leave or whatever. But I think it's super valuable to have access to the actual painting session live. There's going to be a lot of things. First of all, right now I'm about a week or so away from having completed this, so I remember it, but you know. This is 15 minutes. That's 4 hours. You might think, well, 4 hours, I don't have that kind of commitment. But would you, if I was in your town, would you come on into my studio and sit there with me as I was painting and listen to the things I might have to say? Especially on a scene like this, which is quite different. One of the challenges, too, you see that little ridge just below where I'm painting right now. I really wanted to push that back, and so one of the things that sort of delayed the completion, this went through 3 passes, a drawing pass. I think the drawing pass was separate. I could be wrong. Then a color pass, and it was one of these ones. It's just you have about, I'd say maybe a couple hours, maybe 3 at most, window of strong attention when it comes to painting. If you push it much further than that, in my experience, just speaking for me, you start to falter, you start to lose focus, and you might start to make mistakes that you're going to have to fix later. And the thing is, like, it's much better to just have a painting that's fresh and pretty good, and not have to go in and fix things, because every time you put that painting on the easel, you're taking a chance. But I wasn't able to complete this painting entirely in that color pass session, so I let it get good and dry, and then actually just set it aside for quite a while. Yeah, the bit that I had to address was that area with the ground there, and I'm not usually huge. So what that is actually pretty much stone, and these are all stones. And this one of the things about this forest is there's all these really amazing rocks everywhere, and then in some areas you even have ruins and things. There was a painting I did that not that long ago that featured that, and yeah. So, but to me, like, what interests there was actually the other thing I probably want to talk about is, well, not probably, definitely we'll talk about, is there was a lot more complexity in the reference, as always, than in the final painting. This grouping of trees on our left probably had about twice as many trees, and it had several trees. You see that one tree that was leaning over, it had several trees that were leaning over, and I made it just two going straight and one leaning over. And that's something for you to maybe think about too. It's like a tree moving over is creating a dynamic, which is cool, but if you have too much of that, then things just look odd, they look weird. You know, we're here, I think we can accept it because we have those two trees right next to it, which are reinforcing how trees normally go, which is straight, you know. No doubt this is up in a bit of a hill, and we're seeing that forest in the back. Now, when I get into the second pass, another one of the things I wanted to do is, like, I tried very much to keep that less present, less strong, but I used a bit of scumbling to push it even a little further back. And just stay tuned towards the end of the video. We're not that far. It's a 15-minute video. And you'll see that whole scumbling process go down. Yeah. Anyway, so like I was saying, I didn't have enough, internal whatever after 3 hours of painting to bring it to a finish. So what I did was just kind of hurriedly filled it in on that ground plane, and then knowing that I'll come back in. And the thing is too, if you do have to bring a painting back up on the easel, just be really aware that there may have been some targeted things you wanted to fix, but once you get it up on the easel, it's going to be way too easy for you to start messing around in other areas. Okay, so even there's even been times I've put notes up just outside of of course the video area. We're saying only fix this. You could perfect your paintings into oblivion. It's not even hard to do. If I'd spend another hour on this, so many of the good qualities would just go away. Mostly what you're going to lose would be the expressiveness of your brushwork. And let's face it, we have photographs already. We don't need hyper detailed paintings that are revealing endless amounts of detail at the expense of expressive and emotional quality. And so you have to be very respectful of that. And that's not me telling you to get all jiggy with making expressive brushstrokes, which is, maybe a topic for another video, because I went through a phase of doing that for maybe a year or two. To me, the expressiveness of the brushstrokes is a byproduct of you just getting things done. That's what I mean. And moving through the painting in a fairly expedient manner. You don't want to belabor things. We want to see, in your painting, and not just my painting, your painting, we want to see you. We want to see how you feel. We want to see, that record of your consciousness in the moment expressed with brushwork. And when you come back in another moment later on, it's still you, but let's face it, it's a different you, right? It's a different you. It's a you that's in the future and has had a lot of time to think about things. And I don't know if you've ever tried to redo a painting that you've done in the past, but you've probably noticed that it's very difficult to make it exactly the same. And that's because you're different. You're better, hopefully better. If you haven't been painting much, you're probably worse, That's how it goes. So, yeah, so even if you're not like super accomplished, you can do work that's honest, that is expressive of yourself. And that's going to be, sometimes it's irritating in the present when you're doing the painting. You've got a lot of frustration, like, oh, I wanted to paint this better, or I wanted to do that better, or I was hoping to get this or that effect, like this or that painter that I admire, or all those things. But really, if you go for it, and I'm not saying don't go for those things, go for all those things you're trying to do, but do them, just work through the painting, get the surface covered, and then leave it alone. And a lot of times, more and more, speaking for myself, I'm really glad when I do that, because yeah, it's not perfect, but it is. It's got a freshness. That's the word I've used. If you've been with me, down through the years here on the channel, there's a freshness there that's in that first color pass. That's called, by the way, alla prima. Now, sometimes I work alla prima, or I work sort of alla prima. This painting's not alla prima because I'll put it back up on that easel. And I think we're kind of getting to the point too, in the painting session, where I'm just filling in that ground plane. I'm starting to get a bit fatigued. And just so you know, I don't usually, as a person, I'm a big guy. When it comes to exercise and stuff, I can still, you know, hold my own pretty well. But one of my defining characteristics is I have a lot of internal energy. I have a lot of internal fire and ability to focus and concentrate for a really good period of time. But even if you're a person like that, you need to know what the limits are, and then where you really want to stop yourself from making um, just being unnecessarily sloppy. It's like you're always hearing me tell you to move quickly through the painting, but I'm never recommending you be sloppy. Do your best to make things look good, but move through the entire painting in a pretty consistent way. I guess that's a good thing to call out. I like to be very consistent, and I am consistent in my approach. Yeah. Also, so you see, but at this point in the painting session, I know I'm not going to be able to finish it. So I saw I just covered in that whole ground plane with basically a couple tones that are pretty close to each other. I knew it wouldn't be in a state where I could leave it. And now too, when you see I'm popping things with the paper towel, I'm just basically at this point looking to set it up for where we are now. Here's the new session. And well, this ended up being about a quarter of the time of the painting, so that would have been 1 hour. Now I started with a glaze, and the glaze really helps unify things. For one, that glaze is with transparent earth yellow. Also, I felt like the clouds in the sky, or that's not clouds in the sky, I think it could be the actual sky color itself. I felt it was a little too facey, a little too present. So that's sort of some scumbling moves I'm doing over the glaze there. And that just helps push it back. And here, scumbling moves there, which I finish off with a paper towel. And when you're scumbling, basically you're taking a thinned amount of oil. You're taking oil with a thinned amount of pigment, and it's making slight opaque. It's very kind of a ghosty thing. It's a great way, say, of getting haze into your painting. But it almost always needs to go hand in hand with a bit of an application from the paper towel. Yeah, and the other thing is in the second color pass, I've got a dry painting. I've hit it with a coat of liquid. So I tend to work quite a bit thinner. And because, I'm basically just moving things around a little bit. But you can see the stuff I'm adding has to be there, but it's certainly not worthy of subject matterness in itself. The painting is what it is. This is just some little finishing moves. And again, I'm being pretty conscious of, I like the way the trees look. I like the way the rocks look. I will bring some aspects up a little bit. But my days of overworking paintings are hopefully well behind me. I mean, I could fall into that trap again. I'm only human, but I'm really aware of it because I've overworked hundreds of paintings. Yeah. Anyway, I can say we're getting close to the end. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming around and listening to me burble and watching me paint, and drop me a comment. I love comments down below, even if it's just like a little smiley face or something. It's all good. Check out that members area. You can go over to my site if you want. I got some paintings for sale there. At some point I got to get the store freshened up. Sorry for that if you have gone and we're looking for something. If you ever do see a painting that I've done here on the channel that you like, I just recently had a good supporter of the channel off of, buy a painting that they'd seen a video of that's still not in the store. I'll set you up. We'll take care of you. And anyway, until I come back with another video, do me a favor, do me a solid. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Be patient with people that have divergent opinions from your own. And while you're doing all that, take good care and stay out of trouble.